bodes very well for all of you here on the res and people not on the res, like my sister and I, because she's lived it, she's been there, and she knows what it's like not to have access to services that other people are getting. So I think that was a good call. Next slide. This is a very important thing to remember. Allow your loved one independence. I think sometimes we find that it's easier just to jump in and do for people. But if you're a person who's sick, if you're the person who has cancer, if you're the person who has any disease, you already feel like you've lost something, okay? You want to be able to do the things that you can do for as long as you can do them. If you're the family caregiver caring for them, don't take those things away. Don't take them away too soon. That happens a lot. And it's done out of love and concern, thinking, you know, that could be dangerous, I need to do it for them, or I shouldn't let them do that anymore. And I'm not saying to allow things that are unsafe to occur, but there are some things that might take a little bit longer. I'll just give a personal example. Our father doesn't get dressed as quickly. He can still dress himself, but he doesn't get dressed nearly as quickly as he used to. But that's okay. He can still dress himself. So try not to jump in and hurry and rush a person or take something away and do it for them, because then you're taking away that last little bit of what they have left of dignity for what they can do for themselves. So I think this is a very important thing to remember when you're caring for somebody. Next slide. Another picture I stole off of Michelle's Facebook. Plan ahead. We all know that this is something that we should do, but people don't like to talk about death. People don't like to talk about future plans. But while the person you're caring for is still in a capacity where they can make their wishes known and can put them down on paper, and you can draw up wills or power of attorney or whatever you need to do to make sure finances are in order and all of your legal things are in order, don't put this off. I know it's a subject people don't want to talk about, but don't put it off, because if you do and a person dies, it's going to be so much more of a burden for you to try to guess what it is that they would have wanted. Okay, so again, I know this is a difficult one, but plan ahead, and you can never start too soon on this because we know there's a lot of illness in the world, and you don't know when something will happen. But also, if you're a caregiver and you're taking care of someone who's sick, make sure that all of your things are in order too. And I'll just give the example of if you're caring for a child who has a disability, okay, and they will have that disability for their entire life. You're going to be taking care of them for their entire life. What if something happens to you? Who's going to take care of the child? You know. So as a caregiver, you also need to be conscious of these things, and you need to put things in place. If you're the full-time caregiver for an elder parent with cancer and something happens to you, what do you want to happen with your loved one? Who do you want to care for them? Where do you want them to go? So please remember to plan ahead. Next slide. And I was very thrilled to hear two different speakers today sort of still this one. I won't say still it, but reinforce the importance of laughter and humor. There have been scientific research studies done that prove the beneficial effects of laughter. Please do not let yourselves get so overburdened and so stressed out and so depressed that you can't see something funny in the smallest of things. And it doesn't take much. There was a couple of good little punchlines today, which I don't remember now, but they got everybody in the room laughing, and you felt better. Even if it's just for a short time, you felt better. So please allow yourself the opportunity, whether it's, some people send silly jokes by email, if you're into that. Some people watch the old TV shows that are really funny. I sometimes look at the old tapes of Johnny Carson shows, because there were some really funny things. I don't know if anybody is that funny on TV anymore, but you know, whatever it is that you need to do, whether it's movies, TV, you know, just a friend that does silly, crazy things or practical jokes, allow yourself the time to laugh and enjoy yourself. It's very crucial, very critical thing to do. Next slide. I just want to give just a real quick overview of, I said that, and I shared some of the pictures from some of our previous grant sites. What we do at the Rosencar Institute for Caregiving with my program, our national program, is we make grants to communities. We don't go into communities and try to do something to the community. We partner and collaborate with people in the community agencies, have the community agencies identify what the needs of caregivers are in their local community, and then we give grant funding to allow people in their community, through their own community services, whatever that might be, a hospital or a home health clinic, whatever, we give them funds so that they can do something that will help support their own caregivers in their own community. We put out a call for our new round of grant proposals a couple of months ago. We had 95 applicants. Those have been narrowed down to 20. And we're going to give 5 grants, and these are pretty sizable grants, $100,000 for 2 years. And one of the agencies who is still in the mix is Fort Defiance Indian Hospital, partnering with the Arizona Myeloma Network. So just letting you know that I'm also here, seeing what's going on in your community, seeing what your needs are, and maybe one day we'll be here doing a grant site with you. I do want to say that if nothing else you remember from this, remember the need to take care of yourself first. That's such a vital thing. I want to end with a couple of quotes. And this is one that Mrs. Carter says often, all the time. There really are only 4 types of people in the world. Those who have been caregivers, those who are caregivers, those who will be caregivers, and those who will need care. That's everyone in this room. At some point in your life, caregiving will touch you. And then I want to end with something that touches me, and I think that it goes with the theme of this conference. There was a young man a few years ago, Matty Stepanek. I don't know if you heard of him. He was the Goodwill Ambassador for the Muscular Dystrophy Association. He was a sort of a famous poet and philosopher and peacemaker. He wrote the Heart Songs series books of poetry. He died in 2004, and I was very lucky and blessed to get to meet him. And one of the things that he said to me, and I asked him could I put it down in a quote because it was so profound, he died 2 weeks shy of his 13th birthday. He said this: "If all generations of people freely and abundantly give care to others and to our world, we will have an eternal source of love and hope that fulfills the needs of all ages for all future." Thank you.
I want to thank you so much, Laura, for being here, for your sister Fran to have come here. There's probably not much to say after that quote, but I think that's what this whole conference has been about all day. Everybody who has shared is sharing with their care and their love and their hope, and that really is what this is all about. I apologize, Ellen, for not being here to thank you and tell you how much you do for all people. But Dr. Lance had to leave. He had to catch a plane, and I didn't want to have him leave without thanking him, so it just was that moment. But he wanted to say to everybody how much it meant to him to be here with all of us today, and said, "Please invite me next year." So I said, well, we probably could arrange that. But again, and that's something very special when people who are coming and giving of their time say, "Please invite me to come next year." What I want to do now, because we have some wonderful program left. We want to hear from Victor Carrasco with the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, who will be talking about support groups. And the reason I'm having Laura stand here is that we're also going to be hearing from Dr. Timothy Domer with your own Fort Defiance Indian Hospital Palliative Care, and also from our program, the Arizona Myeloma Network's DNA Breast Cancer Program, Becky Howard. But what I thought I would do, because we're not going to have breakout sessions, instead we're going to hear from the rest of the speakers after our break. We're going to have more wonderful raffle gifts we're going to give out, and then we're going to spend the rest of the afternoon after we hear from the speakers having all of you up on the stage together so that everyone can share in a discussion of probably some of the most important topics that were covered this afternoon. The whole area of not just caregivers, but also palliative care, new programs, and really the future for all of us, for the Defiance programs. So I would ask you if we could take a very brief break.